Hey, Mark Walters here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to build rapport with motivated home sellers, which is so important and pretty simple with the ways that we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, before we start, if you ever find yourself in need of money for your real estate deals, which is one of the biggest questions and requests that I get from subscribers, simply download my free book called How to Find Millions in Private Money Loans. And you can do that over at findprivatemoney.net. Also, be sure and subscribe to my daily e-newsletter called Extra Income Sources so that you always have new ways to be able to generate money, oftentimes from home. And you can get that for free over at passiveincomestacking.com. All right, let's jump into today's topic, which is how to build rapport with motivated home sellers. This is something that I always try and do when I'm talking with people that are interested in selling their house. They've got some motivation, and it's so important to kind of start to build that relationship. And I've always felt before you get to the meat and the potatoes of the negotiating, because if we put ourselves in a motivated home seller's shoes, they're going to be uncomfortable. Even if their life is going great, and let's just say they're not a motivated home seller, negotiations isn't something that we do all the time, generally speaking. Now, a lot of us like to do it, becomes kind of a natural occurrence, and we look for opportunities, but for the most part, people aren't comfortable doing it. And one thing that I learned long ago was, on average, those people that find themselves in a negotiation, they think of it mentally as this: somebody's going to make an offer, they're going to make a counter offer, and then that third play will be they're going to meet in the middle. I mean, that's how people, when they think about negotiating, a lot of times that's the case. Now, if you are a sophisticated negotiator, there's all kinds of different strategies to use and closes to use, and that's really not the topic of this video. But sometimes when we let the other person know that, hey, we're not going to budge that much, this isn't going to be one of those things where I'm going to meet you halfway a couple of times and then we're done. So just something to put away in your mind there for future negotiations, because when you start to find yourself feeling a little discomfort, you're probably doing the right thing, and the other person's feeling that way too. And when all else fails, don't say anything, because that silence can be one of your best tools. And when those other people that you're negotiating with hear that silence, they feel like they've got to talk. And sometimes what they say is very beneficial to you in your negotiations. Anyway, there's just a little bonus thing to throw out there. But before I get involved with a negotiation with a motivated home seller that, I've figured out that this is somebody that I'm willing to spend some time with, they're not somebody who's not motivated, who's just trying to see what they can get out of me. This is somebody that truly needs some help. They need to get out from underneath their payments and get on with their life. So I just want to touch on a handful of things that I do. And as I make this video, what I've been doing lately with the properties that I've been going after and acquiring. And it's something that comes naturally to me because I just like making friends with people. I like to just talk to people, and I'm genuinely interested in people. I want to know what's going on in their world, because a lot of times we hear the most amazing things. So many people have cool lives or cool experiences that they want to share. And I love hearing stories. I love to hear about what's going on in people's lives when, there's some fun things to share or just interesting things. And in a situation like this, I just want to get to know the person. And I'm not doing that from the point of, well, I want to do this first, dishonestly, or not being sincere about it, and then I'm going to get to the other phase. Naturally, I'm putting the rapport building in the beginning, but I'm honestly interested. I'm sincerely interested to find out what's going on in their life. And that does a number of things. First of all, it makes me feel more comfortable as well, because I'm not just jumping into a situation that is going to be uncomfortable for both of us, because we're all just human after all. I want to get to know the person a bit, just because I like to get to know people. So in order to do that, in order to start a conversation, it's not about us telling the other person a lot about us, and that's supposedly going to either win them over or make them feel comfortable with us. Usually we feel more comfortable with someone when they're listening to us. So we're not telling them things and they're listening. We are asking questions and then we're listening to them. I'm not sure if I said that right before, but it's when we are listening to the other person. So yeah, we like it when people listen to what we're sharing, right? But in a situation like this, I want to be the listener. I want to be the listener always. They don't need to know anything about me really, and they don't really care about me. As so many people in life, we care about ourselves and how does everything around us affect us? That's kind of how humans are wired a lot of times. And for those people that we find that are genuinely interested in what we have to say, we naturally gravitate towards those people, don't we? We find them to be a great person, even though we might not know much about them, because they've listened to us. In life, we just want to be listened to and we want to be appreciated. Those are core, desires of the human nature. I remember years ago, my father used to go to the post office a lot because we offer informational products. And back before the internet, we offered physical products. Now, of course, we have a lot of digital products, but we were going to the post office pretty much on a daily basis because people all around the country were buying our books. And there was this one gentleman who worked at the post office who pretty much, he was a talker. He would talk and he'd find my dad, when my dad would be in his aisle, and my dad would ask a question. The guy would just talk and talk and talk. And each time that would be the case. Now, my dad wouldn't let it go on forever because obviously our time is valuable, but here's the point I want to make. This guy said to my dad after, a long period of time where my dad just listened, and the guy said to him, "You are so interesting." Now, my dad had never shared pretty much anything with this gentleman. This gentleman pretty much just dominated the conversations, and my dad would listen. But the feeling that that person had for my father was that he was this interesting person. So that's always been a big takeaway and something I share with you, when we don't always realize how effective listening is to the other person that we're listening to. And in the case of this video, how to build rapport with motivated home sellers, one of the best things we can do is ask a question and listen and let them talk. Because a lot of times our natural tendency is to listen, and then we automatically think of something we want to say. Then we're just waiting for the other person to stop talking so we can jump in and say what we want to say, because it's going to make us feel good to share this. Let's try and avoid that temptation. Listen to them and then wait for them to finish before we ask another question or do a follow-up on something like that. Really important to be a good listener and to honestly pay attention. Like I said, I'm the type of person that I'm interested in what people say. There doesn't have to be a deal about this. When I go through life, I ask questions, I listen. I talk to people, I listen. And I find out so much about people. And over the years, I've realized these people have no idea anything about me, which is fine. And I've gotten to know all kinds of things about these people. But when I see these people again, you'd be amazed at the way that they just instantly connect, because I was somebody that they valued because I simply listened. So it doesn't have to be two-sided. Well, you need to know something about me, I need to know something about you, necessarily. In a situation like this, we want to ask questions and we want to listen. Now, I know I'm going on and on about this, but this is an art that can serve you well. I've recently been doing some real estate deals where, gosh, this has worked out so well. But it's all from a point of honesty and sincerity, because if we're insincere and we're just like, and then we get to it, if somebody does that to you, can you feel it? Can you tell when someone's not listening to you? Maybe their eyes are, oh, really? Oh, okay. We can feel that. And what does that feeling feel like? Well, we don't necessarily care for that person as much, right? But if we listen, not just with our ears, but with our eyes, and we are locked in, oh, and we are enthusiastically listening. And that's just something that comes naturally for me. So I always say to my wife, when we go places, people are sharing and this and that, I say, I make friends wherever I go, because I care about what they have to say, but I'm being sincere. It's not an insincere thing. I'm not trying to collect friendships. It's just, I like to find out about people and listen. And if somebody's going to go on and on and on and on, obviously, again, our time is valuable, but this is something I cannot stress enough when building rapport before we jump into the negotiations. Now, in some cases, some sellers, they might not be interested in that. They might want to jump in. Fine. Hey, that's okay. I want to do what they want to do ultimately. But a lot of times I realize on the other end of this negotiation is somebody that's going through some challenges in their life. They want to be heard, understood, helped, supported, because, they're feeling insecure at that stage of their life financially. And when we have financial challenges, it rocks our world. And they might be getting hit on by creditors and all kinds of scenarios, things within their family life. They might be getting beat up by people they live with, people they're in relationships with over the money challenges and this and that. And we are coming in as a source of a solution. So if we can honestly be listening to them when they're interested in sharing, and we start that by asking questions, well, it can be very, very powerful. And that's what I've been experiencing. To get into the negotiations, all of a sudden there is more of a rapport. There's more of kind of a friendship in a sense, or at least a meeting of the mind. So let's move on with how we can help to establish that even more. As you're listening, when you're listening to anybody, are there things that you can relate with when they're saying certain things? Oftentimes, yes. Oftentimes there's some kind of a connection there that we can then follow up with. We can share some things in common. And when we're doing that, we have to remember, in a situation like this, which is business, we are asking questions, we're listening, we're thinking, and we're just naturally realizing, hey, there's some connection. There's something I can throw in there so that this glue of rapport and connectivity starts to appear and bond. But don't overtake the conversation where then they're the listeners. You can do some, and it's important to do some if you've got something truly that is in the same lane, so that they realize, hey, this person really does get what I'm saying. Hey, this person is into this. We're into the same kind of things. Because have you ever had a hobby and you've met somebody, within that hobby? Could even be online in forums is a really good, or groups online. It's a really good example. We might not know anything about these other people other than the fact that they're interested in something that we are interested in too. So how does that make us feel? Well, it's fun to converse with people that are interested in things that we're passionate about. So if we can just make the connection and share a little bit, and then realize, all right, this is not my time to just go into a monologue. It's just the relatability, so that they realize, hey, I've got a connection with this person. And then you can continue naturally with the conversation. You can ask more follow-up questions. You can change the subject completely into something else that is, again, rapport building. It's up to you. You just need to listen and then be thinking, all right, what they're saying, how you can interject maybe some things that are similar and common that you're interested in as well. So you can start to build that connection, and then do some follow-up questions and naturally allow that conversation to flow until the point where you realize, okay, this has kind of run its course, and then you can go to the next stage. What we're trying to do is build a bridge of friendship to the point that we can. Obviously, this is a business scenario. We're coming in trying to offer solutions. They may feel some resistance because, they're hurting inside, they're uncomfortable, and we're first trying to just lay some foundation. Once we understand that, then we can start to ask some questions about the house and about their situation. Because if we start to build a rapport first on things that are completely unrelated, and that's what I've been doing lately. I've been practicing this. It's fun to make offers. It's fun to, if you get the chance to talk to a motivated home seller, be it text, be it on the phone, be it in person. Obviously when we're conversing, texting, not so much. That can be kind of fun with negotiations sometimes, but that's a whole nother subject. And I realize you might say, you know what, Mark, I don't want to talk to any motivated home sellers. I just want to do HUD deals and bank REOs and things like that. And I get that. That is fine. A lot of times other investors know about those kind of deals, so there's more competition. So when you can be finding motivated home sellers that other investors don't know about, well, some of the strategies that we're talking about right now can be helpful. And that's really what this video is all about. Once we start to ask questions about the house, once we've gotten past the things that we can tell that there's some interest of theirs, and we ask questions about those things, we listen really well, we try and find some similar interests that we can interject, we listen some more, so that all of a sudden there's a little bit of, this friendlier kind of rapport. It doesn't have to be battle. It doesn't have to be anything like that. You don't have to be uncomfortable if you're new or just, uncomfortable in scenarios like this, which, hey, we're human. I get that way. I've been through a number of negotiations in different areas of my life, in different businesses in my life, and I still get excited. I get adrenaline and I get nervous. And then you get into the conversation, and guess what? We've all talked to people. We have friends. Now, sometimes we might dominate that conversation and at the end of the call say, hey man, I've done all the talking. I'm really sorry about that. We don't want to be that friend at that time. We want to ask questions and listen. I think you get the point. But once we have made those connections, those similar interests, and we've kind of talked that out, then we can naturally ask the questions about the house and the situation, because we're already asking questions so both parties can start to feel more comfortable. And then you can, pretty much ask the questions of, why are you selling this house? What's going to happen if you can't sell this house? And start to move into that kind of a situation. By asking what's going to happen if they can't sell the house, they're feeling the pain there and they're sharing the pain, because ultimately what we want to do is get to the real problem, the real root of the problem. Now, I always try and put myself in the shoes of whoever it is that I'm trying to do some negotiation with or business with, or, whatever type of scenario that it might help me to put myself in their shoes. If we were to do that with a motivated home seller or a home seller of any kind, or any kind of seller of anything, what is it that we want? We want the best deal. We want the best deal that we can possibly get. Now, the reason as real estate investors that we are talking to motivated home sellers is they've got to do a deal because they are motivated. It's not just, yeah, if I sell this house, it doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to get the most I can for this house. Obviously, those are not the kind of leads that we are trying to uncover. Once we find somebody who is truly motivated, they can't make their payments anymore, or they're close to being able to, or can't make their payments anymore. Well, those people are motivated because they need to get out from underneath that payment, need to get out from underneath that house. And once we start to ask the questions, how would you like me to best help you with this situation? And what's going to happen if you can't sell this house? And you sincerely are asking these questions. And again, you're listening, because in the beginning, even if they're motivated, they still are humans and they want to get what they can get. But once you break through that facade, and a lot of times it's simple, and a lot of times that facade isn't even there with people that are truly motivated. I've talked to people where, boom, they say, hey, I just need this. And then I can get out of here. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Especially when it's just a little bit, get the deed to the property, that sort of thing. But other times, if you find people are posturing a little bit, even though they may be motivated, when you start to ask the questions that might bring up some feelings of pain, well, then you start to possibly get past the facade, get past some of the posturing of negotiations, and get straight into, well, this is my situation. This, ultimately is the reason why I'm feeling the pain while I'm sleeping at night, and waking up and just sitting there staring at the ceiling. Now, they're not going to say it like that, but that's really what we're trying to get to, so that what is it that they truly want, and more importantly, truly need. And once we understand what that is, then we can position our offer accordingly, or different choices that they can have with the offer, price or terms, depending on what the situation is. And again, that's not the scope of this video. We're just trying to get to the point where we can break down the walls of any type of discomfort, or at least start to break that down, so we build the rapport, build the relationship sincerely and honestly, so that then we can ask even more important questions that have to do with the deal. And when you do it like that, it takes some of the pressure off of you as well. If you feel uncomfortable talking to these people because you're thinking, I really want to get this house and I've got to get a great deal. And I've got wholesale buyers that, they demand this kind of a discount, and I've got to get this kind of, all these kinds of things. Again, there's different exit strategies, so you can construct different types of deals. Again, I'll share that in another video. If you're interested, just leave a comment. But the point is, once we get to break down those barriers and understand what it is they want, then we can offer offers that are appropriate for the scenario and for their needs, truly. And that's all we really want to get to know, is what do they really need? And is there a way that we can offer them a solution in the form of an offer that comes in the contract so that then we have a meeting of the minds that are good for both of us. Once that happens, once you've built that rapport with your motivated home seller, you've asked questions to get to know them, you've got the connectivity there of common interests, you start to like each other naturally, you start to ask the questions of, how can I help you? What is it that I can do for you right now that you think can help? What happens if you can't, sell the house? All these kinds of things. Once you get to that point and you get to the solution that they can truly feel is like, okay, this is what I need, and you're feeling like this is a great offer, this is a great deal, get it in writing so that they can feel good about it. You say, look, let's get it in writing here. I want you to feel good about this. I'm here to help. That's what I do in my business. If I can't help you, I'm going to let you know, and I'm going to give you suggestions on how other people might be able to help you in other ways. But if I can help you right now, let's get that in writing so you can feel good about it, so you can start to sleep better at night and know you can get on with your life. How to Build Rapport with Motivated Home Sellers. That is a really good start. Another good book that you can read on this subject is a classic. And there have been so many books written based on the ideas in this book, and that is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a great read, even for those people that are able to build rapport with others naturally, because it just plants the seeds of how we can be doing these things well, so that when situations come up, we just naturally think, oh yes, here's the flow of this. And I'm hoping that with all of these things considered, it can really help you. Now, before I go, please subscribe to my channel. I've got more videos here that I think can help you. I've got more videos coming. If you like this video, hit the like button, hit the bell so you're alerted next time I have a video. Don't forget to get my free book, which is How to Find Millions in Private Money Loans, that you can get over at findprivatemoney.net, because over the years, my subscribers, one of the biggest questions I get is, Mark, how can I find money for deals? So I'm hoping that book can help you. And definitely, if you are not already a subscriber to my free daily newsletter that's called Extra Income Sources, you've got to get that, because I add a lot of fun things to that. There are a number of different ways that you can be considering making extra money, a lot of times from home. So to get that, simply go over to passiveincomestacking.com and subscribe to that, because it's absolutely free. I have a lot of fun putting that together. I've done it for years. There's just thousands and thousands of subscribers, and I've been doing it for decades. So I think you're going to like it. Until next time, I'm Mark Walters, and I'll share more with you soon.